What's up guys, this is Coach Donnie from Elevate Yourself. In this video, we'll learn about the optimal body positioning to maximize your power, the best way to contact the ball, and how to follow through when executing the arm swing during a spike. Make sure you watch my last video first about arm swing technique to learn the most effective mechanics during the arm swing movement.
Next, we'll talk about where you should contact the ball. In general, you want to contact the ball somewhere between your right eye and your right shoulder, so somewhere within that range, and slightly in front of my face. If I'm a left-handed hitter, somewhere between my left eye and my left shoulder, still in front of my face here. Now this is how we take advantage of our body weight, which is free energy, because if you position your body correctly, you get to put your whole body weight into the ball, plus the power from your hip, shoulder, elbow, and wrist. Now it's normal to lean slightly as you're hitting to really maximize that reach here, and it helps you maintain balance in the air. You're actually never going to be truly upright because you see how the ball is here, and I'm going to end up kicking my leg out there. So a little bit lean is okay, but generally we should make the letter L with a slight dip in the left shoulder and see how this ball ends up still somewhere between my eye and my shoulder. Now let's talk about both extremes of poor body placement. First, the most common mistake is under the ball. So you can already feel that this is not a comfortable position for your shoulder. So this is the weakest point of your shoulder. And on top of that, I have to arch my back a little bit more just to see up at the ball and to try to pike forward. And that's a great way to develop lower back and shoulder problems. The other extreme is too low. So if I contact it too far in front, I do get the body weight advantage, but I lose a lot of reach and end up hitting low and into the net. Keep it generally in front of your hitting shoulder, slightly in front of your face, so you can still reach high, but still stay behind the ball to put your body weight into the ball. Now we'll talk about how you should contact the ball. A lot of the best spikers in the world keep their arms really loose throughout the entire arm swing motion. And one of the best people to do that is Yuki Ishikawa. So make sure you check out my video on analyzing his volleyball technique, because he does a great job of being really whippy with the arm, which is what we want to achieve. Staying relaxed with your arms throughout the arm swing motion allows you to swing with maximum speed, and speed is power in volleyball. Anytime you tense up any part of your body, especially at the wrong time, it's going to slow you down and cause further injury. So staying loose and relaxed is how you're going to generate a very fast arm, which is another aspect of spiking power. Ball contact will depend on how high you reach above the net. If your hand is below the net, then you need to contact it slightly under the ball. And I like to view the ball as an earth. So here's the equator. Now I'm from North America, so I use those references. We have Mexico at and slightly below the equator, Central America way below the equator, and then we have the USA slightly above the equator, and then Canada significantly above the equator. So if I'm reaching below the net, you need to contact it at Mexico or slightly below, and you should aim for contacting the ball at the base of your middle finger. So that's pretty much where I should be focusing my contact right here. If my hand is slightly above the net, then you can contact it right dead center at the equator here. Now if I can reach above the net, like maybe forearm, wrist above the net or slightly higher, you can creep up and you can have the base of that middle finger contact it at USA, Canada. Or if you're a super high jumper or you're really tall, you can contact that at Alaska, pretty much on top of the ball. Now your hand needs to be somewhere between really loose and really stiff. So I call this hand relaxed firm. So it's relaxed, but still just enough tension to contact the ball. And a great exercise you can do to practice ball contact is by just slapping the ball and keeping your hand relaxed enough so that it takes the shape of the ball. You want your hand to stick to the ball. You don't want it to bounce off. If it bounces off, that means my hand's too stiff. If it doesn't stick at all, it's too loose, so let it stick. And it should have a really loud slap sound as I'm contacting the ball. Also, make sure you're contacting the ball with a straight wrist. We don't want to bend our wrist too much this way unless you're trying to do some tricky cutting. In general, we want the wrist to be mostly straight. That's going to be optimal for the follow through of your swing. If you want to jump high, spike hard, and take your volleyball game to the next level, then use my jump training programs, which include a bodyweight only program where you can train with no equipment at the comfort of your home, or the Elevation Template 12-month jump training program that comes with a mobile training app, over 100 exercise tutorial videos that will use all of the standard gym equipment. Use my discount code and link in the description box to get 5% off all jump training programs. Now we'll talk about the wrist snap. Now, in my opinion, the wrist snap is overly emphasized when spiking. In reality, it only contributes roughly maybe 5% to your spiking power. Majority of the power is going to come from the torque of your hips and shoulders, and then your elbow extension, and then the speed of your arm. And in all honesty, you don't need to snap the ball to actually hit in or to hit hard. You'll see many of the great attackers focusing so much on arm speed, and as long as they contact it at the right point of the ball and follow through downward, the ball is going to go in. I like to use snapping more of changing direction of the ball, or if I can't follow through if it's too tight, then I can just snap it down, sacrifice a little bit of power, but at least place it well. Now, if you have that perfect set, perfect spacing, single blocker up, then you can really follow through and get that extra 5% power with a nice follow through. But don't let the snap distract you from executing all the other more essential elements of the arm swing. We've talked about ball contact and the snap. Now let's talk about the follow through. Majority of the time when you're spiking, you do want to follow through all the way to the ball. Just like when you're boxing, you don't want to stop at the target. You want to punch past the target, because that's where the power does come from, is the finish and the follow through. And it's also easier on your shoulder. If you try to stop and snap and stop there, that requires so much force to stop all that momentum. And that's what also contributes to shoulder, elbow, and wrist injuries when people snap only and just stop at the ball. So let the energy travel through the ball, and wherever you follow through is generally where the ball is going to go. And I'm going to make a separate video on that to teach you how to exactly aim anywhere on the court. So I can follow through in the center of my body, across my body, or away from my body. But the starting mechanics are exactly the same. My follow through just might change it up. But no matter what, majority of the time, I'm following through completely through the ball at maximum velocity. The only time I should stop is if I'm really tight to the net, and if I follow through, I might net, or you're just trying to snap over a block and try to make it go over. The fourth step to practicing arm swing is actually tossing yourself the ball without jumping and just working on applying the arm swing technique to the ball. Now, I recommend tossing with two hands because it helps simulate the transition from my backswing to my double arm lift into my loaded or Nike position. If you toss with one hand, it's not the end of the world, but I always try to reinforce that transition from jumping to arm swing as much as I can. So when I toss, I'm stepping back at the same time to open up my body. Two hand toss, loaded right away. You can just practice this motion to work on the timing and the spacing, because by the time I contact it, it should be here. Once you get your toss down, now you can start contacting the ball. So really try to reinforce that high elbow contact in position 2 and staying mostly upright. We talked about a little dip in the shoulder is okay, but we want to make sure that I'm in this high contact position, slightly in front of my hitting shoulder here. Once you have consistent contact with consistent arm swing technique, the last step is to speed it up. And one of my favorite exercises that I still do today, even though I've been playing volleyball for over 20 years, is a super high toss down ball into the wall. Now this one does require you to toss with one hand. I know I just talked about trying to toss with two hands as much as you can, but if you're specifically developing arm swing speed, Tossing it super high helps you speed up your arm, and it's gonna come down faster than a normal volleyball set. And the way your body has to adapt is by swinging super fast, and the only way you can do that is by staying as loose as possible. So I'm gonna toss with my right arm. You could do this with your left arm. I found that I can generally toss higher if I really let go with one arm. The last topic we'll talk about is variations in arm swing. We talked about a couple hitters that hit super hard with their elbow high in this position. Some people with elbow just back at shoulder height, and other hitters where it's down here. In the process of staying loose, you might find yourself having a little bit more of a loop, and that's okay. It's your body's way of trying to combine speed and torque, and everyone's body is different, and also people's bodies change over time. As long as your elbows are not going out at any point in the process, that's the most important. It's also good to have different types of arm swings in your toolbox. Sometimes you might need a short and snappy arm swing when you're late, or you need to quickly get to the ball. Sometimes you need that big roundhouse to really generate power on the ball when you got a triple block and you just got to punch through on a really high volleyball set and you have lots of time to load. Let me know if you have any questions on arm swing technique in the comments below, and I'll answer them in my next video, which is the 5 most common mistakes volleyball players make with the arm swing technique.
If you found this video helpful, please consider supporting Elevate Yourself by leaving a super thanks comment below, or by signing up for my Patreon, where you receive access to exclusive content for members only.